All right, Cece, let's talk reasonable expectations. What are they for Dak Prescott now that Smith is back in that lineup?
Well, let's just start from where they were last week. And I think that the offensive line played much improved from the Atlanta game. They did some things, Scott Lanahan, the offensive coordinator, to help the pass protection. Ultimately, we knew with Philadelphia, with their personnel, it would be really hard for the offensive line. Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator of Philadelphia, has a rotation of 7 guys. So we knew over the course of the game they would be able to wear that offensive line out. But when you add one of the best left tackles in the NFL, you add him, it frees up Jason Witten. Jason Witten, people say, where'd he go? Well, last week he had to block more. 1 catch, 7 yards. So it frees up another receiver from the passing. Also, we know they can run the football, but now at halftime, they could have come out in the third quarter if they had Tyron Smith and maybe got an extra 6 to 8 carries to keep the momentum from the first half, because you have to be able to wear the defense out. That's what you have when Tyron is on the left side. You also have a quarterback that's going to have more confidence, because if you've been hit as much as Dak has been hit the last 2 weeks, and this is foreign to him. His coming up in the league is not like other quarterbacks. He was in a very special situation where they had a dominant running game and they had great protection. So he will have more confidence going into the game. It's about not turning the ball over and getting your team on the winning bus. Those are the expectations. Do not turn the football over. Go back to the type of football that we are accustomed to seeing you play. That means not throwing the ball in the traffic, not having tip passes, and if you get a rush, either eat the sack or throw the football away. I think those are reasonable expectations for Dallas on Thanksgiving to be able to get a win against the LA Chargers.
Whoa. The LA Chargers. You've given them validation. I think you said they hadn't even moved yet. Still saying, I like it. I'm going to call them San Diego all day. I'm certain of it. As far as Dak goes, I expect him to have a Dak Prescott football game. That means, I don't know if they'll win. I don't know if he'll have 300 yards. What I expect is a clean game, no turnovers, as was his trademark for the first 24 games of his career. Something like this, 20 of 30, 220 yards, a couple touchdowns, no picks. That is not, that type of game is it's not going to make you a first-team All-Pro quarterback, but those are the types of games that made Dak who he was. Not 385 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, but games where he completes 2 out of 3 passes, where he gives you a little better than 7 yards per attempt, and he does not make any mistakes that get you killed. Now, without Zeke, maybe that won't be enough, but that is what I expect to see from Dak throwing the football now that he's not going to be getting hit in the face all the time.
You talk a lot about turnovers, which is a great point, but how do you balance, now that he's got that protection, how do you balance having the confidence that you have Tyron Smith there with also not turning the ball over? So the confidence to throw the ball, which is what we want him to do, and take some chances.
He's got to take more chances.
He has to take more chances, but with a weakened receiving core and a little bit of what he's been through the last 2 games with turning that ball over, where does that all balance out?
Well, Jenna, we're in a results-oriented business. We know he's got to take more chances because he doesn't have Zeke. We know he got to create big plays, which might create more turnovers. So that is the fine line that he's going to have to walk. The wide receivers, they have to be able to make some plays. Now, I'm saying take chances with the ball. That doesn't mean throw the ball late down the middle. And when you're under duress, you have to be careful in trying to make plays that way. This is not a defense that can recover with an extra 2 or 3 possessions. They're undersized, Sean Lee, so you can't forget that. In trying to win the game as an offense, you can't forget who your defense is. Like, I've been on very explosive teams. Very seldom, except for Philadelphia earlier in my career, was I on a defensive dominant team. So we always knew, yes, you want to score, but you can't take risk fumbling the football. You can't take risk in turning the football over with interceptions because we don't have a defense that can recover from that. So that's another set of pressure or things that Dak and that offense they have to deal with.
What you're describing right there is the Patriots model. The Patriots this year, one thing that's gone totally overlooked as far as what's helped their defense is that offense never turns the ball over. I mean, on the year, they have 5 turnovers, so they're not putting their defense on short field or in bad spots. One thing, I mentioned this morning, Cece, when you weren't in the room. I don't think there's been anything in the whole 3 months we've been doing this show that you've been more correct on than the Cowboys receiving corps. Like, I have to tip my hat to you on that one, because you, for a long time, the first 7-8 weeks of the year, I almost had felt like I was trying to pull a LeVar Ball, unbeknownst to myself, like speak it into existence. Just have Dez be who Dez can be. But the reality is, Dez can't be that guy anymore, it would appear. The numbers are jarring.
Yes.
You know the only stat Dez Bryant is elite in still? Targets. He's top 5 in the NFL on how often they throw him the ball, but nowhere close to top 15 in anything he does with it. Yards per game, despite being 5th in targets, he's 35th. Yards per catch, he's 86th. Yards after the catch, he's 101st. So the Cowboys are still treating Dez like he's an elite player.
Right.
He is not producing as an elite player, and that is what, for me, has made my math on this team, I think, a little skewed. I have in my head until recently been convinced Dez will snap out of it. He would have to now snap out of what's been a 3-year slump. And there's no 3-year slumps.
Right, and I have to be careful because I try to be fair. And Dez Bryant is not a person that is happy with my commentary over the last year and a half. And to me, it's not a matter of I told you so, but you watch things as they go in the league. And you know that guys have a ceiling that they're going to hit. And I know the lack of variety that they have in their passing game. I know that they can't move Dez to a lot of different spots. At this stage of his career, I don't see his game evolving. He's never been a big separation guy, so he's just going to try to out-athletic you. And that, since they've switched from Romo to Dak, you haven't seen a whole bunch of that. That was one thing that you could guarantee before. He could run the deep end, he could run the slant, and we're going to give him a couple 50-50 balls, and he's a special athlete down the outside rail. So when you don't have that, because I understand what your math was, dominant offensive line, great young quarterback, a special running back. Wow, he's going to get the best coverages he's ever had.
Yeah. He
should be thriving.
And even
he should be.
Right, and Cece, even if, okay, so Dez no longer is in the Julio, AJ, Odell, Antonio Brown discussion, right? But
yeah,
even
but
if
you
he
can
just
take
dropped down one tier
yeah,
to where
but you can take a deep breath and say a bunch of other guys, and then you'd have to take another deep breath before you even got to people
You'd have to
like him.
hyperventilate before, at this point, you got to Dez Bryant.
No, and that's the math I wasn't doing. It felt to me he had gone, okay, so Dez has gone from the 4th or 5th best receiver in the game to the 8th or 9th best receiver in the game. Still, you're going to have the best receiver on the field most games. That's just not been the case for now the last 2 years. And so to bring it back to what we're talking about with Dak, that's where there's pressure on them. They're 5-5. They have to go 5-1 the rest of the way to make the playoffs. Like, we know that. But he's going to have to do something that you talked about Tom Brady doing. Find a way to throw guys open. Find a way to help guys get yards after catch that are maybe bigger than their athleticism, because he doesn't have these dominant matchup edges some other teams do.
All right, well, if Dak and Dez and this team is going to do anything and snap out of their funk, Thursday's the day to do it. National stage, Thanksgiving Day, 4:30 game. The country is watching. This is the exact stage that they were going to they want and need.
Tyron Smith is coming back. He got 2 young guys, Joey Bosa and Ingram, going to be coming after.
It's not going to be an easy task at hand, but a task nonetheless. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.